You spend hours in Rekordbox getting every track perfect. But the second you plug into the CDJs, tracks won't load, you can't browse your library the way you expect, and the tags you rely on are nowhere to be seen. I've spent over 100 hours digging through Pioneer manuals, talking to working DJs, and combing through endless messages from DJs who hit these exact problems. And in this video, I'll show you the Rekordbox to CDJ stress test that will stop your sets collapsing the moment they leave your laptop. Rekordbox absolutely loves nomming on metadata. There are so many things you can spend hours adding: ratings, comments, genres, tags. But the problem is CDJs won't actually let you use most of it unless you set them up correctly. And sometimes they won't let you even if you do, because they be like that. The my tags you use to change direction in your sets, buried in menus. Or the tech house you tagged, gone. Well, every cloud. To make sure you have easy access to everything you need on the decks, you need to follow these steps before you hit export on your USB. In export mode, click on your USB drive under the device menu on the left. Go into the category tab and you'll see a few columns. This is going to tell the CDJ exactly what you want to see on the menu in the browse mode. Everything on the left is what you have available to choose from, and by default, some of it isn't that useful. Everything on the right is stuff that will actually be shown on the CDJ when you plug in your USB. I often use rating for energy in my set, so I'll move that over to the right with the little right arrow. And I never use album, so I'll remove that by clicking left to add it to the inactive categories. The next time I plug in my USB into a CDJ, I'll see rating as one of the categories on the left. An album will be nowhere to be seen. Another cool feature is the CDJs will actually remember the exact order you set these categories, so if there's stuff you use more often, then move it to the top. You can move them up or down using the up and down arrow, but don't think you can drag and drop. This is Rekordbox. But there's one key thing missing from this little menu, and for many DJs it's the backbone of their whole approach. Unless you know how to make it visible on CDJs, you'll be mixing in the dark, which I guess is kind of common in a nightclub. My tag's one of the most useful features in Rekordbox. It gives you almost unlimited ways to describe your tracks. But on CDJs, it's a half-baked laughingstock. The filtering is buried in menus and takes you out of your flow. And trying to use my tags on anything older than a 2000 Nexus 2 would be like asking a boomer what it's like to not be able to afford a house. They wouldn't know what you're talking about. The safest way to get around this is to pre-filter your my tags in playlists. Set up an intelligent playlist for each of your my tags in Rekordbox so it can pull them in automatically as your library grows. And I recommend keeping these in their own playlist folder to keep it tidy. It's also really useful to create some quick filter combos in advance. For example, jungle plus dark or vocal plus cheesy. You can then just browse these combos as you would any other playlist on the CDJ. This is often a lot quicker than using the inbuilt filter menus. Another solid option is to write your my tags to the comments field. Even old as fuck CDJs can read this comments field, making it a very safe option. Rekordbox can do this for you if you go into Preferences, Advanced, Browse, and then enable the Add My Tag to the Comments option. If it's your first time turning it on, it might take a while to run through the tracks. If I go into one of my tracks here, you can see that the tags have been written inside these funny little brackets in the comments field. One of my tags is techie, and I can now use the search feature on the CDJ to find anything in the comments field matching that tag. So for maximum safety, plan as if my tags won't even exist on the CDJs you're using. That way your prep is never lost, no matter what horror show you end up playing on. And by the way, I share more survival tips for Rekordbox, CDJs, and your library in my free newsletter. The link's in the description. Which brings us somehow to one of the biggest bottlenecks I see in all the libraries I review. It's invisible on your laptop, but it'll grind most CDJs to a halt. Amassing thousands of tracks in Rekordbox is easy, and you can create playlists bigger than my Nan's compression socks. Some of the libraries my tool Library Dojo has been helping DJs organize run well over 40,000 tracks. Hello?
Oh, sorry.
Your MacBook Pro M4 Max may laugh at such numbers, but Tim Cook hasn't been anywhere near a CDJ, and their processors are largely borrowed from mid-range toasters. So when you dump huge playlists into them, they start to crawl. Searches lag, browsing gets slow, and your butt crack gets sweaty. To make your mega playlist CDJ safe, you need to break them down into smaller survival playlists. Here's how to do that. This playlist has about 10,000 tracks. I don't actually have that many, so I just duplicated my whole library about 10 times. Using the Rekordbox filter menu, I'm going to split this down into sub-playlists. First, I'll use some of my tags. I'm going to filter by my WUB tag. I'll call this playlist All WUB. Next, I'll find all my slower tracks using the BPM filter, and I'll call this All Slower. Finally, I'll chop up by rating, which I use for energy, and call it 3-star. Now, these aren't the greatest playlists in the world, but if you've got huge playlists that you need to deal with, then this is a great way to quickly break them down. That way they'll work on even the most ancient CDJs. But playlists aren't the only limits to be aware of. If you're someone that drags entire folders with millions of subfolders straight into Rekordbox, then this could cause issues. CDJs can only read subfolders up to a certain amount, and only 10,000 tracks per folder can be displayed. So put simply, if you've got 20,000 tracks in a folder, drag it into Rekordbox, the CDJ just won't show half of them, and it won't tell you about it either. So if you've been organizing by folders now, it's time to switch to playlists. But even if you survive the playlist and folder showdown, there's another trap. It tricks you into thinking your library's ready until you press play and the CDJ laughs in your face. CDJs are unforgiving when it comes to the music that they'll actually let you play. I don't mean tech house, I mean file formats. They're like the kind of person that goes to KFC with a chicken allergy. And to make things fun, different models support different file types, and even different bit rates. The tracks may even still show up in your browse menu, but when you're in a panic and try and load that track, the CDJ will throw a hissy fit like an angry toddler. If you want to be safe playing on anything from the original CDJ 2000 onwards, you'll want to use MP3, AAC, WAV, or AF, but for those last two you still need to be careful because there's a few issues to be aware of. This starts getting a bit geeky, so I'll cut to the chase. If you're after the best quality with the best compatibility, use AIFF or WAV at 24-bit with a sample rate of 44 or 48. If you have any files you need to convert, then Audacity is a great free tool you can use to do this. And as a bonus tip, it's a good idea to carry a backup USB drive that has got different file conversions on it. But that's just the tip of the iceberg in the different ways CDJs will try and sabotage you. In this video, I break down every single CDJ difference from the last 20 years you need to be aware of so that you can be confident playing on any setup.